Hi, I'm Robert.
And I'm Adva, and this is where we live. We live here on our houseboat, and right next door is our yacht. Here's the yacht that we really got for free. And we're going to show it to you. A remarkable thing happened to us. This yacht just came to us, and I want to share this story with you.
And I don't want to share the story. I thought I received the boat, I'm going to fix the boat and take it sailing. What do I need to tell a story for? But my wife says the boat was given to us, so maybe we need to give something. Here we are on board. This is Gulf Star 50, number 132, out of 170 that were built. In December of 2018, this boat was sinking. It had been here in the marina for over a decade since the owner had the time to maintain it. The boat was sinking, and I came over to pump it out because it was about to freeze and the ice would have crushed the boat. I didn't know the owner at the time, but I found his name and address inside, and I sent him a note telling him that I came on his boat and pumped it out, and that was the end of it. But a couple of days later, he gave me a call and asked if I wanted the boat. So right now, when you're looking at the boat, I spent 200 hours inside cleaning up, removing things, and another 200 hours outside cleaning the decks, refinishing the teak. Looked a lot different. It looked like maybe it was something I didn't want to get stuck with. And the first thing to check is the shroud anchors. Now these anchors were all rebuilt, looks like by a professional. We had to expose them all, and we see that they're not quite sealed, but they're pretty darn strong. Another area of concern with Gold Star 50s is cracks along the trailing edge of the keel. Now we can't really see much of it, so we really don't know if we have that problem yet, but it looks pretty solid. And we do know that there were improvements made to the Gulf Star 50 during production. So being as how this is 132 out of 170, we're hoping that that area was properly reinforced. Another problem that's common with Gulf Star 50s is compression of the cabin house under the mizzen mast. Well, the original boats were built with deck-stepped mizzen mast. This particular boat has a mast that's stepped at the bottom of the boat. I don't think you could call that keel stepped because we're well aft of the keel. Another area of concern is the rudder shaft. This looks like a pretty solid job. I don't think we have much to worry about here. This is also equipped with self-steering gear. That was partially submerged, so we have no idea about any of the electrical systems yet. Here's the gear, chain, and motor for the self-steering gear. This was partially submerged, there's a good chance it might still be good. However, I need to learn about modern marine electronics before I could say whether we could use this or not. Of course, all the hatches and windows were leaking as well. This one we removed to take a look at. We spoke with the folks over at Atkins Hoyle, who luckily are still in business, and they still sell the rubber gaskets and seals for these. Also the UV protection, which we need to replace on a couple of the windows. And they said you simply install these flange type windows with the 3M 5200. Although I think we're going to try it with caulk the first time, just in case. That 5200 does not let go easily. And of course the 85 horsepower Perkins diesel is a major concern. This one was definitely underwater a little bit. There's a lot of rust here. We got to get these pulleys off before we can try to get a wrench on it and see if it turns. So the condition is still unknown, and this is going to have a big factor on our budget for the restoration. So it's a big project, and it could easily end up costing more to fix it than what the boat would be worth. But there was one factor that convinced us. It's next door. Being next door really made the difference for the 400 hours of cleaning work that we've put into the boat so far. It was about 200 hours of cleaning out the inside, and another 200 hours of cleaning the deck, refinishing the teak. It's still not done, but it's ready to start sealing up the leaks. The other things that made a difference for us is that this is not my first renovation project of a boat. I've been doing this since I was in 7th grade, actually. But as a hobbyist, not a professional by any means. Also, we have the tools that we need for this job, and we have a garage nearby where all the gear is stored. We'll go over there later and take a look at it. But right now, you see what the boat is like, and I'm going to tell you the next part of the story. The most important thing to the previous owner was that whoever he gave the boat to, he wanted to be sure that they were actually going to fix it. Of course, he could have given it to a junk man and gotten money for it, but he wanted to see the boat have another life. It was like he wanted to give something back to the boat to make up for the horrible neglect and pain he caused it. So it's still a story about giving. So that's the first part of the story about how we got a free yacht. We'll tell you more about it later. But now, let's talk about the restoration work that we're going to be doing on this beautiful Gulf Star 50 World Cruising Blue Water Yacht. So there's no place to start like the beginning. And here is the beginning. The solid teak bow pulpit. With its beautiful rail. Let's take a look from the side. I love the stainless steel rod underneath and the stainless steel trim around it. And here we see the plow anchor, the anchor rod, and the windlass. This Ideal windlass is of course out of business. However, fortunately, Schaefer Marine provides parts. There's only 2 parts, the motor and the capstan. This is a leaking, rusty mess, so we'll probably need both of them. But we'll get to that later. Also up here, we're going to be taking a lot of looks at this roller furling jib system. Not really an expert on roller furling jibs, so I don't know what the condition is, if this unit's serviceable for us. The jib that was on it, unfortunately, was rolled the wrong way, so of course it's severely sun damaged. We're sending that to our sailmaker, see if they could patch it. If not, we're going to change it back over to a headstay and use the 3 Hank-on jibs that also came with the boat. The big issue about whether we use a roller furler or a Hank-on jib is if we're sailing with a crew or as if we're sailing as a couple. I've sailed lasers my whole life, so I'm kind of used to going it alone, but we're going to see if we can bring a few people along with us. Spirit of giving, you know? Step 1 is keep the water out. So this is where the washdown hose bib is, up on the bow. We removed that yesterday. Let's just see where it is. And now we're going to take a look inside so you see what we're talking about. Now we're up in the front of the forward V-berth. And this is the anchor locker. You see we got our anchor line in here. We're going to bring a light along. You also can see that windlass, which we're not going to think about right now. And you just see a hose here. And that's the hose for the washdown. And somewhere up there is the hole that I taped. Right there. This is where we removed the 2 bolts that were holding down the spinnaker pole lock frame. I don't know what you call that thing that holds the spinnaker pole down. We'll take a look at it. That was also leaking. Over here on the side of our tool area, we keep all the parts that we removed. Everything's labeled, so we'll be able to figure out how it goes back together with any hardware that might have been in it. This is the washdown hose. So that's the deck fitting. The rest of the hardware is in the bag. Also, here's the bracket for the spinnaker pole that we removed. So it's in perfect condition. So this is the job. Along our newly polyurethane, sanded, refinished, gorgeous teak rail, we're going to be going around here sealing each one of these leaking deck fittings. These stanchions appear to not be leaking. This waste receptacle clearly is leaking. All of our shroud anchors are leaking. We're going to have to take apart a little more to see if that spin pole bracket is leaking. Again, most of these water plates are leaking. We look pretty good with the deck cleats. Haven't seen any sign of leaking. There may be a little water seeping in along the rail. We're going to put a nice brown caulk on there. This stanchion here definitely is a leaker. I think somebody must have pulled on it climbing into the boat. And we have 3 more shroud anchors here, also leaking. Radio antenna probably leaking. The jib sheet block definitely leaking, or spinnaker block, sorry about that. This is the propane tank compartment. Yeah, it's a mess. We cleaned it out quite a bit. They're 10-pound aluminum tanks. We're going to have to get them revalved and recertified. This hatch here, I don't know what they did to it. It's no good. Here's our davits. They were not properly installed. And we're going to take a look inside and see the problem. So the problem is pretty obvious. Water's leaking and the backing plates are rotted out. We're inside the transom rope locker right now. That's our Coast Guard number. Net weight 29,000 pounds. That's not loaded. And there's the second plate for the davit. I don't like this davit installation at all. I think they're too far aft, and and on the wrong angle. We're definitely going to be removing them and putting them back on a little better. And now we're going to take a tour of the inside. But before we do, let's look at the floor plan schematic to give you a better idea so we don't get lost moving around with the camera. So here's the line drawing of the Gulfstar 50. There's a couple things here that we would like to take a look at. Let's start at the bottom. At the ballast. The ballast is lead encapsulated in concrete. There's about 11,000 pounds of that down here. This area here is the sump underneath the engine. This shaft would come out around here. Here we see the aft cabin, where you notice the large bed. You can either sleep this way or you could sleep this way and have a kid in the middle. The aft cabin has its own head along with a private shower, 2 lockers. Then we walk through here. There's a little bit of low headroom. We have some lockers. We have a galley and sink. And this is the main entrance right here. Up and down the ladder. To the right, they call it the captain's cabin. I called it the crew quarters, but I guess I thought this was the captain's cabin. I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's up to my wife. And up here we have this convertible bunk bed or sofa, our large dinette and table. It's all been removed. This is your forward head and forward V-berth cabin. And oh, there's a third head back here in this captain's cabin. So you got an idea of the layout. Now we're going to go in and take a look at it. It's pretty stripped out right now, but you can get the idea. Okay, so we're starting in the aft cabin with its private head. The great thing about this particular head is the stand-up walk-in shower with the teak slat floor. Also, the original flooring is in perfect condition in here. Too bad it's not like that anywhere else. We have an old style pump head. We don't know the condition, vanity. We know that our shroud anchors are located, 2 of the mizzen shroud anchors are located in here, and this area was leaking very badly. You see everything's been torn out. It's pretty much all garbage except for the forward covered doors here that are in pretty good shape. Now we're going to turn around and come into the aft cabin. Notice the 2 windows facing aft to give you some context. It's a little hard to imagine with everything being torn out and a bunch of scrap wood stored around. You also see the damage from another leaking shroud anchor. This kind of damage was pretty typical. This wood I took out with my fingers. But a lot of it's also good. Again, we see leaking shroud anchors. Here we have the radio antenna tuner. This is for a dual sideband ICM 700 radio. Might work. That's a radio telephone. It also has the ICM ship-to-shore radio. Those were the finest yacht communications devices of the late 90s. Not so sure. The ship-to-shore we could still use for sure. I'm sure we're going to be adding satellite communications. So we're going to walk right past this engine room door for now, because that is a straight up mess in there. And our electrical panel, which unknown. Here's the first cold box in the galley. You can see it has the cold plates in here. There's a refrigeration system. We're sure that's not operable. This boat does not have a generator or air conditioning, HVAC systems. It's definitely built more for racing. Here's our gimbaled propane stove. Haven't had any chance to check that out, but these burners should be rebuildable. On my paint. Also a second cold box located back there I haven't been able to open yet. And the galley. Now facing aft from the galley we see the main companionway. And this was where the big problem was. The drains in the cockpit were all clogged. So the cockpit turned into a bathtub and the companionway turned into a waterfall. And that's why there's no wood there anymore. All turned to mud. The only thing that was good, amazingly, was the hatch that goes there. We're going to rebuild that frame, but we're leaving that open for now in case the engine needs to come out. Also, some severe damage to the flooring here due to the water. We're going to be bringing up a lot of this flooring the next couple of weeks and seeing what's going on here. Now, this is where our V-berth will be. We have all these parts. The covers look like they really need to be cleaned, the cushions scrubbed, and we'll get to that. We're going to have to take apart this credenza thing, I guess we call it, behind the dinette. So we got some leaks back there. Might have to get this clock serviced. Ship's clock, lovely brass. These are all the pieces that we removed. Every piece is labeled so we know where to put it. They've been scrubbed clean so we can work with them. Shouldn't be too hard to put back together. And again, we're looking in the forward V bunks. Also quite a bit of storage of drawers, pieces that were removed. This is the locker in the V-berth cabin. Another locker. Well, this locker is particularly interesting because it's also the place where they keep the emergency hand pump. We might want to give that a try someday, but I sure hope we never need it. Now the bunk beds over here have been converted into my workbench. In this mess we have every nut and bolt that was removed here, either in a container or a bag that's labeled. We have some power tools, some hand tools, a bunch of sanding stuff that we've been using, a bunch of stuff that was on the boat, some manuals and winch handles and such. More tools. Underneath we have cleaning supplies, the Dremel tools which we'll be bringing out soon, the safety nets which we removed and are going to have to replace, and some lubricants, extra parts, etc. This is the navigation area. It's done pretty well, fortunately. We have no idea if anything works here. Hopefully this radar will work, and hopefully that radio will work. Not too concerned about the Loran. or the cassette player. And this is their captain's crew quarters. Underneath here you have space for 3 humongous batteries. Now, that's a long story. Batteries. We did get one of them to hold a charge, and I got 2 car batteries that are holding charges, so we will have enough of a battery system to try to see what's going on with our electric. And here's the head in the cabin, captain's cabin. Major leaks in here because the stanchion, the main stanchion of where the entrance, the opening in the rail, somebody must have pulled on that coming onto the boat and tore that up. Keep that in mind. Tell your crew and guests, don't pull on that stanchion. And in here we have electrical tools, basically electrical tools and mechanical tools. Got some new wheel pullers we're going to try to use to get those pulleys off the motor. And that's it. That's the inside. So now you know a little bit about our boat and a little bit about our story. The interesting thing about this story is nobody knows how it's going to end. So tune in and see more, and we're going to share it with you. Tomorrow we'll be making repairs.